Hello, I'm Zetta Thomelin, and I'm here today with singer Rebecca Robinson. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Zetta.
Nice to see you today. And I just wanted to talk to you about your experience. Now, Rebecca started her career in country music, was classically trained, has worked across a lot of different genres, and performed at high-profile events like the Birmingham Tattoo. Um, we met when Rebecca had become very unwell and her life had been taken off course. Now, I don't want to dwell too much on the ill side because we want to talk about recovery, but for people to really understand what you've been through, maybe you could just give us a brief portrait of what you were going through around the
Mm.
time we met.
Well, I just lost my father in late 2019.
Yeah.
I was extremely close to my father, and I had a massive connection with him. It was shortly after that period of time, getting towards the end of the year. He passed in September, and it was by Christmas I started experiencing some neurological issues.
Yeah.
People were saying, "Are you eating well?" I was still doing my performances, going out and doing what I love to do. And it got into the new year of 2020 when we had lockdown, unfortunately, into March that day. People kept saying she's having a bit of a breakdown, and they kept using this word, "Oh, what is wrong with her?
Yeah.
It's because of the loss of her dad." And I kept saying at that time, "There's something wrong with my head. I'm getting this dreadful spinning sensation, and it would not stop." I mean, that's the thing I need to clarify. It never stopped,
Yeah.
and it was chronic. And so we went through some really difficult times, and it wasn't until that year in August 2020 that we eventually got me to be able to go to London in Harley Street to see some doctors that would have any understanding of what was
Yeah.
actually neurologically going on.
Yeah.
Um, so fast forwarding to that time, we found a wonderful doctor called Dr. Seratherian, who specialises in neurological issues, and he said it was something called vestibular migraine. Now, I never use that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Because we
never
don't want
talk
to
about it.
label.
I
Yeah.
never label it, but just to let people know, I thought the terminology for that condition wasn't right anyway, because in
Yeah.
my head, migraine, there's no headaches. All
Yeah.
I'm feeling is completely out of control. I had dreadful spinning constantly, like I was on a waltzer. It's like somebody had
Yeah.
put me on a waltzer constantly. I experienced eye problems. I had shaking all the time. I couldn't eat. I couldn't swallow because it was and it hit the back of the brain where you have the fight or flight as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was so not to go into massive detail, but that's where I got
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And I was told at that time, if I was to progress and ever get better, that I had to work on removing myself from the problem I'd got. And there was no cure for it apart from me working through it myself from a balance point of view, doing balance exercises, getting out, um, having less caffeine and less sweet things, and just getting myself out into the world. Now, of course, there's cures for things. I don't believe that at all. But at the time,
Yeah.
it was this is going to be a long road,
Yeah.
and that put the fear into me at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And so I'd gone through months and months of, I'm going to say, torment,
Yeah.
and to the point where, okay, we've got a name. And at that point, I hadn't met your good self. So I carried on doing vaguely what I thought I could do to ever get a normal life back. I couldn't
Yeah.
shower comfortably. I couldn't, there's no way there was any singing going to be happening. I had to go out for a walk. I'd be terrified because, everything was just dreadful. I mean, it was my life, unfortunately, had come to a big stop. However, the reason we're talking today is I want, if this story can help anybody, and especially being somebody like myself that was very much out in the public eye,
Yeah.
not in a
Yeah.
big way. I was never a big star, but I was somebody that had been a local artist and had traveled around the country performing and singing all sorts of different genres of music and loving it. So to go from the person that was, and I was writing and doing things I loved, to I couldn't do any of it, I was left with, who am I?
This is the thing, isn't it, Rebecca? Isn't it?
Who am I?
Your identity gets stripped away from you when you're seriously ill. I find that just such an important point.
Mm.
Who is this Rebecca now? Because you're Rebecca Robinson, the singer.
Yes.
And if that's taken away
Mm.
and it's been a big part of your
Yeah.
life, who
Yeah.
are you? I think some other interesting things come out of what you've just said is when
Mm.
you are ill and wanting to understand what's wrong. And at
Mm.
first, particularly with neurological conditions,
Yeah.
it's very hard for people straight away to know what's what and get
Exactly, because it can't be seen.
yeah. And then you get a diagnosis, a label, and a doctor says to you something like you are told it's
Mm.
going to be a long road to recovery. And that's not helpful. Is it? Sometimes I know doctors are doing their best. So I'm not trying to be critical here, but we don't know because every individual responds differently to different
Mm.
situations.
Mm.
And I think the one thing you need when you're in that dark place that place of relentless suffering, and it is relentless because I think unless you've lived it, it's hard to understand what it is day in, day out, and not knowing. At that point, you didn't know it was going to end, that you need hope.
Yes.
You really need hope. Um, and I think that's what your story gives to anyone hopefully watching today is that you can be in that place
Mm.
and things change.
Mm.
Now, when we met, I think that the fact that this had happened after the loss of your father was a significant thing.
Very much so.
You had a physiological problem. We're not questioning that, but there were psychological elements that made you vulnerable to that, shall we say.
Very much.
And and so you needed to kind of process that loss, but also rebuild the confidence in your body to support you,
Mm.
rebuild the confidence in yourself,
Mm.
and have some belief that you could reclaim your life again.
Completely.
And that's what we found ourselves working with. And
Yes.
we did work with metaphors, suggestions, affirmations, and
Hmm.
some practical lifestyle kind of steps that
Hmm.
helped you on that process of recovery.
Oh gosh.
But it seems to me, as someone who's kind of witnessed that recovery, and I feel like I've been on this journey with you in a sense,
Yes.
cheerleader on the side,
Oh,
watching
yeah, it's
you
amazing.
come back,
Yeah.
back
Hmm.
to life, but
Mm.
actually bigger and better than before in a sense
Oh.
because your creativity now you know you're writing again, you're performing again, but you're
Yeah.
playing the guitar, you're I remember you told me a few weeks ago you played the guitar in the recording studio, which you hadn't done before, so this is a
No,
new thing
no,
that's come
no.
out of this place of suffering,
Yes.
of who does Rebecca Robinson, the singer, want to be now? How does
Mm.
that identity evolve? So maybe you could say a little about the journey from there to here. What that's been like.
Well, I think the best way of describing it is lying in bed thinking, will I ever be somebody that can live a normal life again every day,
Yeah,
to the place I'm at now with the knowledge of what I've learned along the way. And I'm going to say the suffering, I'm not
yeah,
going to deny
yeah,
that because all the time I couldn't accept it, Zeta,
yeah,
was when I suffered more.
yes,
Because
yeah,
in some ways, I'm going to call it
yeah,
my ego of my health that I no longer felt I had.
yeah,
I kept wanting to resist it.
yeah,
Surely this is wrong. Why me? What?
yeah,
I was just ready to do this. Still had dreams and aspirations as a
yeah,
singer.
yeah,
Though I'm at the point I'm at, I'm 56, but I still had dreams and aspirations. And all of a sudden, I felt, wow, okay then, what now? And so from that place, I'm going to say, I'm up in my bedroom up here.
yeah, yeah,
And anybody who knows me, I love Disney. I've
yeah,
recorded Disney albums as well. But I used to lie, remember, not in this house. I used to lie in the place we used to live in
mm,
every day thinking, oh my God, will I ever get my life back?
yeah,
And if I fast forward to now and I look at I'm going to say the girl, she
mm,
wasn't a girl then,
mm,
but if I look at the girl and in my eyes, she was a girl compared to the woman that I see now,
mm,
it was almost like I was a child
mm,
woman's body for a long time. I was lucky enough to have not experienced great loss
Mm.
or any real issues in my life. I'd had extremely loving parents. My father, I was extremely close to, even at the point I was at before he passed. Have you got petrol in the car, darling? I'll check your oil if I can get out.
Yeah.
And so that was what I had experienced.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the loss of him, we were all in lockdown, and I was in my own lockdown as well. So
Yeah.
nobody knew
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
it. And then on that journey, and then thankfully, you'll be able to remind me, but I would say I met you about 4 years ago, was it,
Yeah.
Zetta?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you were able to pick up on where I'd got to and take me from this place where I felt I was kind of just managing and getting by each
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
to feeling that now I've got some tools and mechanisms that we've both worked on and that I've come up with as well, I
Oh,
think.
yes. I mean, you've been so creative in how, I mean, you've grasped this
Thank
completely.
you.
You
Thank
really have, because it does take some work. It doesn't happen without some input. And you work at this, I mean, still every day you work at your health, at keeping fit, the exercises you do, I know, and affirmations you work with,
yes, yes,
visualizations
yes,
that you're doing.
yes.
You've worked with it, but where it's taken you is incredible. And I see like a blossoming, like you've just come to life.
Oh,
And obviously I didn't know you before.
no.
What I see now is somebody who really knows who they are, what they
Yes,
want, and
completely. Yes,
and
far
it
more.
isn't so affected by other people's
Yes,
expectations and being authentic, maybe. So
yes,
really authentically yourself. I think one of the things when we met that perhaps was a significant connection is that I'd had neurological issues and I'd been
absolutely.
cleared still some years ago.
Oh gosh.
And I had been exactly where you were.
Mm,
I had lain in bed thinking, am I ever going to have a life? Who is this Zetta? I'd been a successful CEO in London and that was gone.
yes.
But that led to the journey of me becoming a therapist and writing about therapy and mental health, and took me on a completely different path. That's where our journeys are slightly different. But um, I guess I could believe that you could get better because I knew I had. So I was trying to give you my belief, and gift you that belief to help
Mm,
you come on your own journey. And I
yes.
think sometimes that kind of shared suffering, for want of a better word, um, can be helpful. It's that someone understands what it means to be me, isn't it, as well? I think we really need that. And I remember, when I was lying in bed or even as things started to get a bit better and people go, oh, everything's all right now. And you're like, gosh, each day is still such a struggle. Um, that meeting other people, and also it's been lovely for me to meet someone else. I don't want anyone else to suffer, obviously, but
Mm,
but
mm,
you understand my journey too. That's a mutual understanding. um but I've seen you come to a place of creativity that surpassed anything you'd done
oh,
before. I think,
thank
it
you.
feels that way. I know you wrote a song called Runaway Train about mental
Yes,
health
yes,
recently, which I think is profoundly important.
yes.
And you wrote a whole album about processing your grief with your father.
That's right.
Um, and only recently recorded just did a video of one of those songs, just playing your guitar in your kitchen, singing that song, 16 months, which is such a powerful song about processing grief. And again, you're bringing to other people understanding, because I feel someone who's suffered from grief will hear that song and think, someone understands what I'm going through.
Oh,
It's the same thing, isn't it? It's someone understands my journey.
oh,
Um, and I think making those ideas and those videos so that people can access those feelings and help process their own
oh,
experience is so important.
oh, Seta, the one thing I think I said, because let this be known, I've never done anything like we're doing today
Yeah.
or chatted about it to anyone. I haven't hidden it from the world,
No.
but I haven't expressed what's gone on
Yeah.
to anybody about this journey, and I was really keen. We discussed it that I wanted this to be a really positive message for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't want to talk about the story, symptoms, and all
Yeah.
how dreadful. I wanted it to be so encouraging and so uplifting that people would feel seen in times of difficulty, whatever that
Yeah.
difficulty is, and that you have shown me that, and there are mechanisms and there are ways of coming through this dreadful, dark time that everybody who lives long enough will go through
Yeah.
at some
Yes.
time today, whatever we label it as,
Yeah.
and that there are and there always will be people like your good self. My thank God every day for you
Oh,
out there that help
just doing
us.
my job, Rebecca. Just doing my job.
But it's
Yeah.
so true. And I every day, and I have little mechanisms that I do
Yeah.
that help me through. I have my own beliefs. I'm not necessarily a religious person, although I was brought up as a Catholic, but I have a belief in something bigger than me watching over me. And I tap into that. I tap into stones. I will show you. I've got some
Yeah.
stones. This is labradorite.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be quite powerful and healing. Different stones. I carry them sometimes in my pocket to remind me of the power of them. I have a little mascot called Jiminy Cricket that from
Yeah.
years ago somebody gave me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And throughout all these times of difficulty,
Yeah.
for me, I pull on things that bring me light and bring
Yeah.
me happiness, and walks and fitness and meditation and writing and I'm going to say trying to learn an instrument when you've had an issue like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to try and learn and to get my hands to coordinate. But it's so good for me that I have done this, because I never thought they thought I was dyslexic at school, and I struggled for years, and I carried that as well with
Yeah.
me. So for me to pick up an instrument now, as well as obviously the love of singing,
Yeah.
is such a moment for me. And so this is why I want to clarify via this message, if possible, that if anything that we're talking about today and any of the things that I do or you're discussing can help people and
Mm.
think, my goodness, if they did it, she did it, or
Yeah.
there was a way forward, this is what it's about,
Yeah.
communication. And when I saw you for the first time, I think I said to you a moment ago before we had this chat, it was the fact that you understood me
Yeah.
because you'd been there, and
Yeah.
it's being seen.
Yeah, it is being seen, isn't it? Being seen and understood,
Yeah,
and so I'm really recognizing your suffering
yeah,
and difficulty, but
yeah,
not wanting to stay in it. We're moving away from it. We acknowledge it's there, but then we come forward. And
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm such a believer that where there's life, there's hope.
Yes.
And we have such power. That mind-body connection is so strong. Um,
Ah,
and
yes.
if and that's why I think we need to be so careful with the language we use, because
Um,
you know, I think there is hope for change for everyone, and we need to work with that hope and that belief and that self-belief. Um, and I think you've rebuilt to a place of confidence that seems to me way beyond where you were. You've come into yourself.
it's interesting, Zetta. I just briefly, but when I look at pictures of me before the story
Yeah,
happened,
yeah, yeah.
I don't recognize her.
Mm,
And it's such a strange thing, because I've always been a very sensitive, I still am, very sensitive. I would call myself perhaps a people pleaser, and wanting to do right all the time, but
yeah,
that sometimes that would be too much, and
yeah,
my life was sort of going in other people's directions rather than
yeah,
making choices for myself. I used to say, oh, my mum thinks this, my dad used to say that. I never really had my own opinion.
yeah.
Then what happened is what happened, and I had to, because nobody was going to draw me
Nobody-
out of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
could do that for
yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah,
you see.
yeah,
And so that I'm going to say, I'm going to call it a gift.
yeah,
I have to call it a gift, because I have to say that without this journey,
mm,
I wouldn't be sitting here with you and have understanding I have of myself
Yes,
had
yeah.
I have not had this journey. And you have helped me find myself.
Well, I mean, I guess in a way, I still feel when I'm working with people, they're helping me too. It's a
Yes.
mutual journey because I learn from the people I work with you know, it's it's a mutual exchange. I do feel because it's building hope and belief
Yes.
together really.
It is.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's what's so important. And it's
Yes.
just really exciting that you've come to where you are, and I think it's a very significant point that it's a very lonely place and you have to
Mm,
dig deep, but you
mm,
really get to know yourself and you get to know
ah,
what you're capable of and you survive those things.
mm,
You're stronger at the end of it because you come you realize the resilience you have, and the inner resources you have. You just sometimes need a bit of direction to find them and know how
mm.
to use them, and then you're on a different place in your own personal journey, aren't you?
100%. And I feel I've got a different relationship with myself, and I have a different relationship with loved ones and family and friends
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So it's been a massive change in my life, and I suppose it had to be for me to arrive at this point,
yeah,
moment in time.
yeah. And I think you just raised also something important. The people pleasing. I think a lot of people get stuck in that place, and when you are really unwell, you
Mm.
can't think about anybody else. You know you haven't got the capacity for it.
No.
And then it maybe teaches you when to say no, and that perhaps if we can protect ourselves better, we
Mm.
don't find ourselves in those situations again, because we're protecting ourselves better, because you know, I think some people worry about being seen as selfish, and I always say it's self-aware, self-care,
Self-aware.
um, and knowing there are some things we can compromise on and say, okay, that may not be my thing, but I'll do it. But sometimes we need to say no and look after ourselves. And when we do that, we put ourselves in a much stronger position. But it makes our relationships more genuine, doesn't it? Because we're not trying to
100%.
be something other than, you know, fit in with what other people's expectations are. So our relationships become more authentic. And I think that's what you're saying. Your relationships around you become better because you're being authentic in yourself.
Absolutely. I feel I'm being truly who I'm meant to be rather than a product of what I think they expect
Yeah,
of me.
yeah, yeah. And that's why your creativity is so incredible because you're
Allowing.
tapping into that. Exactly.
That's right. When I sat yesterday, I may well share it
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you think I can. Again, and sat with my guitar with this song, 16 months that I had wrote about, with obviously loss of my father, from the album I wrote in 2021. Although I was not in a good place, somebody had helped me to produce the backing.
yeah,
And but I'm looking at these chords and I'm sitting in the kitchen with my hair pulled back and barely any makeup on, and I'm playing it. And I say, this is about the love of my father and the journey and the grief. And there was nothing, it was so raw. And I feel right now, I want everything I do for the sake of not myself, but others,
yeah,
that they see that, because all the time I'm trying to convey some sort of perfect image,
yeah, yeah,
or me playing beautifully. I'm still learning, but
yeah,
I'm enjoying that. And if I can
yeah,
share the
yeah,
rawness of who I am and that journey, and we can all do that, that
yeah,
I hope it allows people in the future to say, well, they can do the same.
yeah. I think you're so right. And I think the world is so full of artifice at the moment, of people pretending, for some real humanity, some real
Yeah,
authenticity to be there. People recognize it and they reach out to it, and it gives them sustenance and hope. And I think that's what we're here to do, hopefully today, is to give people sustenance and hope for their own journey. They might be back where either one of us might have been some years
mm,
ago,
mm,
but there is a way forward, and I wished someone had given that to me when I was in my darkest place,
mm,
that
mm.
I'd known that one day
That's right.
I'd have a completely different and
Yes,
very fulfilling life, and in fact, a much more fulfilling life than I had before.
yes,
So,
yes,
let's give that shout out of hope to anyone,
yes.
whether it's a physical suffering or a psychological, emotional suffering. There is there is hope out there, and we can make changes. And
100%.
sometimes you might be able to do that on your own, or someone else might help you, a loved one or someone professional. But whatever it is, reach out for that help and start that journey, start that fight back.
Mm.
Because you don't have to stay there. That there are so many examples of people. I don't know whether you watched it, but when Celine Dion sang at the opening of the
Yes.
Paris Olympics,
Oh,
I
yes.
was in
I
such
was,
tears
I
because
was.
I was
Yes.
I was aware of her
And
suffering.
I was there
Oh,
feeling what she was feeling because for me also, and like yourself with your journey, incredible journey, I was there, especially as a singer as well. When I've done
absolutely.
things recently, I was back on the bandstand. I live in a place called Deal in Kent, and the Royal Marines have what they call the Freedom of Deal since the dreadful bombing in
Yeah,
'87,
yeah,
and they come and they perform on the bandstand. And I've been lucky enough to be the warm-up act
yeah,
since 2011, on and off,
mm,
and to be back on that mound at such an event was
yeah,
such an honour,
yeah,
and to think if I had a moment, although I've done it in recent years, we all know that there's a journey to go
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
But standing there this year, I had this moment. I'm back.
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
here, and
yeah, yeah,
wow, and everything seems clearer, and
yeah,
I'm looking at it from a very different perspective. All these dreams and aspirations, and what we think we'd like, and how we think we'd like to be seen, and allowing myself just to be exactly as I was and as we are now, and for people to see the rawness of
yeah.
who I
And the
am.
courage of that. And
Yes,
I felt that with Celine Dion. The whole world was
yes,
watching. She hadn't sung in public since
no,
her illness, and she risked it on the biggest level she possibly.
biggest stage.
And if it had
Yes.
gone wrong, well, so be it. She was taking that risk, and you took that risk, and we all
Oh,
take those risks
yes, yeah.
to, as you said earlier, be seen. Be
To
seen.
be,
Whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong, but we're going to give it a go. And
mm,
that's it, isn't it? That's living. That's what it's all about. So um,
absolutely connection, and for people to see if someone has gone on a road and it inspires them and helps them, that is what we're all there for. And
yeah,
your journey, I have to convey, apart from this wonderful the hypnotherapy and the talks and the advice, was knowing that you had been on a, I'm going to say we all go for different journeys, but a similar journey to mine at the time, of how catastrophic it was, the effects of it.
mm,
But for you to be able to say to me, you're going to do it, you're going to get there, you can do this, you can do it. So I kept coming away, doesn't matter what I'm experiencing. Dessa said I can do it, and I'm going to do it. And I kept replaying affirmations, writing things down to myself, journaling every moment, reaffirming. Zetta said, now it could have been, you could say, anyone saying this to me,
well, it's
because
belief,
I,
isn't it?
but because I had belief and because I'd seen your journey, I kept replaying it, replaying it, replaying it. And I wouldn't allow myself to look at anything online about it or
Yeah,
any discussions or anything. I completely, I'm going to say, been living in a Disney world in
mm,
the sense of I would blanket myself with things that give me hope
yeah,
and happiness and fulfillment. And this is what this, I hope, these connections that we have in the media can do,
yeah, yeah,
and help people.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean that's the point, isn't it? And it's about belief and having other people having belief in you, but having belief in yourself as well, which is really important. And I think you've just raised another important point about protecting yourself from negative input.
Yes.
Stuff on the internet about your illness and reading other people's
Oh,
experiences is really not a good
yes.
idea.
Yes.
It feeds fear, and we don't want to feed fear. We want to dampen it down,
Oh,
and build the belief and the faith and the hope. So this is the positive.
Yes.
side, and that's what we want to
And it's
have.
very powerful.
Yeah,
Positivity, the power of suggestion is very powerful.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so tapping into the tap, tap, tap
yeah,
scenario of
yeah,
feeling good. I
yeah.
can do this. I am doing it. I will do it. I've done it. Is all so powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rebecca,
Thank
for
you.
sharing your journey with me today, and for us to share with the world, so that hopefully we can bring some hope to other people's lives.
Well, I just want to thank you for allowing me to share it. And I just can't thank you enough. And I wish everybody well for the future, and sending lots of love.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.